Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of The Truth Beneath, a Korean dramatic thriller from 2016 that stars Ye-jin Son. Now this story is about a woman who is married and has a teenage daughter. Her husband previously worked as an announcer of sorts, but he's now running for election as a National Assembly member. Now, our protagonist is enthusiastic to help her husband's election campaign, but her daughter goes missing during the early stages of his campaign. So she then becomes devastated by the actions of her husband and those around him in his campaign, advisory department area, who seem to be worried more about his election campaign than putting effort into finding the daughter. Now, in a frustrating response to this situation, she begins a frantic search for clues to her daughter's disappearance. Now, the daughter in this is a troublemaker, okay? And she has a history of leaving the house without telling her parents where she's going or how long she will be there. So she's kind of she's kind of a head case. Now, this creates a situation where you can kind of understand the initial reaction by the husband and the advisors, because this girl definitely has a history of disappearing, and the possible public relations disaster could be that you first declare her missing to the public, or something like that would get out once you file the police report. But let's say later she's found partying in some town, off the grid or something, or she's hanging out with some older dudes or doing something nefarious. That would make her parents look incompetent, right? So there's a little bit of hesitation in following up on her disappearance. However, as a viewer, I soon gravitated towards the mother's perspective on things. And one reason for this is that Ye-jin Son's performance in this film is just outstanding. She's outstanding in this. Now, I recently saw her other 2016 film called The Last Princess, which seems to have gotten a lot more attention than The Truth Beneath. And that does make sense, given that the events depicted in The Last Princess would have significant resonance for Korean audiences. But in my opinion, The Truth Beneath is a better film overall. And you know what? Ye-jin Son's performance in this movie is even more impressive than her performance in The Last Princess. In fact, I think her acting in The Truth Beneath is the second best of her entire career, being surpassed only by A Moment to Remember, of course. So that's saying something here. Now, I was thinking about this, and sometimes I think personally that the true test of a great actor is how they exhibit strong emotion. I've always assumed that it's incredibly difficult to portray an emotional outburst or a mental breakdown that feels real. That has that real feeling to it. It doesn't feel like they're hamming it up or anything, you know what I mean? That's not easy to do. Well, Ye-jin Son successfully accomplishes that task many times in this movie. There's one exchange of dialogue that just really stands out to me, involving her and her husband, that takes place during the midsection of the film, that just floored me. I mean, it's actually quite shocking what she says to him and how that plays out, and she sells it as good as anyone ever could. This movie is watching for her alone, she's that good in this. And fortunately for us, she carries the film from start to finish, so we see a lot of her. But she's not the only good thing about The Truth Beneath, because she's backed up by a very solid screenplay that was co-written by Chan-wook Park, the director of Oldboy. Many of the characters are properly developed in this, but I was particularly impressed with the mystery component in this, because it's proficiently written, and it reveals secrets, twists, and turns in a very organic, natural way that actually clarifies and helps to make sense of certain scenes that occur before those twists come out. You know what I'm saying? So you can definitely tell that the writers put some effort into the script here, and that really counts in the final product. And it also helps the viewer to be absorbed in the consistently unfolding mystery. Now, the tone in this, it does get a little dark at times, but there's no like gratuitous violence or anything like that. It goes dark in a fairly classy but effective way, I think. Camera work, very nice, with some beautiful shots to enjoy along the way. This director, I looked her up. She's a woman by the name of Kyung-mi Lee, who previously gave us the film Crush and Blush from 2008. Surprisingly good romantic comedy that I would definitely recommend. I think that made my top 20 list from the 2000, man, did it make my top 20? It was at least in my top 20 or my honorable mentions when I did that top 20 list with Pieces of Work for Korean films of the 2000s. So, this is a director I'm looking out for in the future. She's only done a few films, but they've all been quite good. I would also like to point out that the runtime of this movie is a bit shorter than the typical Korean film, which usually approximates 2 full hours. The Truth Beneath is only about 1 hour and 40 minutes or so in length, which, again, assists the pacing, helps to cut out any dull filler or unnecessary fat, you know what I mean? So this is paced well. So that's all good stuff, but unfortunately, I do have to bring up something that's not so good. It really doesn't have anything to do with the film. The lead actor here is a man by the name of Ju-hyuk Kim, who tragically passed away in a car accident in real life just a few months ago. Really kind of a sad situation that's made worse by the fact that he was actually a very good actor. To no one's surprise, he gives an impressive performance in The Truth Beneath, and he basically acts as like a secondary character to Ye-jin Son's lead protagonist role. So she kind of eclipses him, but I think it's mostly because she's really on her game here and she's given a lot more screen time. Now, previously, he starred in what is likely my favorite romantic comedy of all time, which is Couples from 2011, and he also starred along Ye-jin Son in another film entitled My Wife Got Married from 2008. So I obviously highly recommend Couples if you want to check this actor out, but if you want a double feature with these two actors, check out The Truth Beneath and My Wife Got Married. They play off each other very well, and they're both very different films, so it would be an interesting double feature. Now, fortunately for us, as movie fans, Ju-hyuk Kim has a handful of films in the pipeline that have not yet been released to international audiences. He's also done some television work that I haven't seen, so we have a small handful of films that have yet to come out. So he hasn't quite left us yet, in some sense. But as you can tell, I strongly recommend The Truth Beneath. It was actually surprisingly good. The only reason I saw this movie is because Ye-jin Son was the lead actress. And then while I was watching the movie, within the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, Ju-hyuk Kim is in this too. So, and it turned out to be very solid. It's available on Region 3 DVD with subtitles. And it's also streaming on YouTube and Drama Fever, so check this one out. It's very solid. And as always, I will see you next time.